disconnected.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Well, I'm excited today because in these boxes here I have the new fender flares from Rough Country for the Jeep Wrangler. It's the front fender flares, the rear fender flares, and I also have the inner fenders, front and rear. And these are also these new fender flares from Rough Country. They've actually lowered the price like 80 bucks, and it's a lot better, more durable powder coating than they used to do. It's a brand new stuff they're using, and it also has a better salt spray rating, so should be a lot better and for a lot longer, better look on your Jeep. But these flat fenders are going to give the Jeep a lot higher look and also give you more clearance for when you're off-road, and especially if you have bigger tires. I plan on getting a Rough Country 2.5-inch suspension lift where I can put some 35s on here later, and then it'd be nice to have the fender flares and have the more room for the fenders to not be rubbing the tires. So we're going to go ahead and get this unboxed. We'll lay this stuff out, check it out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an install of the front and rear fender flares on one side and show that on the video, and we'll take these old fenders off. And it'd be nice because to get rid of these things, because I've seen a lot of them that get older and they fade, you know, start looking bad. And Rough Country has been in business a long time, and they make some of the best stuff on the market, no doubt about it. And these fender flares, I've looked at lots of videos and lots of pictures, and they look great on the Jeep Wrangler. So let's go ahead and get this table set up here. I can unbox this, lay this stuff out, and we can check it out. Alright, we have everything laid out here to do the left front fender. We have the fender, this is the inner fender, and as you can see, the way I'm going to do this is because I have the inner fenders and the fender. You can install these separate. You can install just the inner fenders or just the fenders without the inner fenders. But while I'm doing it, I'm going to do an install of the whole thing because I am doing it complete set, front and rear. And so we'll go ahead and get the fender off the Jeep and get this thing ready to install. It does come with this plate here, and as you can see, it's actually this silver color gray when you get it, and I took mine and painted it red because on my Wrangler I'm accenting a lot of stuff and little things in red, so I went ahead and painted it red, and it will just bolt on right behind here like so. Actually, turn it over. It will bolt on here like so, and then we will get this thing installed, bolted on, get these pieces bolted together and put on. Alright, the first thing we're going to be doing is underneath the front fender, we're going to be removing 6 bolts. Okay, after removing the 6 bolts, we need to disconnect the side marker light. And there's a plug right under here with a push tab. And then there's also a push clip that pushes up in the plastic. You can just pull it out like that. And then you can disconnect that wire also up underneath the fender itself. We'll do that after we get this fender off. Alright, after we got the 6 bolts out, the way to remove the fender is it'll make you think you're going to tear something up, but you're actually not. So just grab a hold of this fender like so, and you pull it out. We'll pull all the clips off, and you have the whole complete fender off. Move it out of your way. Alright, now we'll go around and wipe off the dirt from the outside of it so it's somewhat clean before we put the new fender back on. You can raise this thing on a lift and you'll gain a lot more room so you can get in here easier, and you can actually take the tire and wheel off, and then you will have a lot of room to work when putting in the inner fender in this. But I don't have a lift, and it actually is not that bad to do it this. Okay, now we can remove this marker light wire by just pushing in the tab right here. Pulling this out, we won't be needing this. Alright, I got my fender laying here. This is the bracket that we'll be installing on here. It goes just like this, and it will go actually behind this. The fender will go right here. The 3 holes on the fender will match up with these 3 holes and bolt into this all at the same time. So that's why I want to do this all together. Okay, we'll be using the large clips that come in our bolt kit. Put the 3 on here. And that will be our nuts, actually, that will go behind here when we bolt this on. So the first thing we want to do is set this up here and get a couple bolts set in it just to hold it in place. Alright, the way to do that is I set this fender on this bracket right here. Be careful not to be scuffing on your paint up there. Then I'm going to take this bracket and hold in behind here. Line my holes up, and then I'll line the hole up here with the fender flare and start one of my large Allen bolts. Alright, now that we got one bolt and washer here, we can go ahead and move down, put our other 2 bolts and washers down here at the bottom. Alright, now we'll put in the lower rear bolt and washer right here. Alright, our remaining 6 bolts is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those will get the same bolt, Allen bolt with the flat washer and a nut on the back side. So you just reach up in here, you can put the nut on the back side. Alright, now we can take a 5mm Allen and a 13mm wrench and go ahead and tighten up all of the 9 Allen bolts. So I can hold the wrench on the back side, use the Allen on the front, and go ahead and go through and tighten them all up. Alright, on these locations here we need to install, these 4 locations, the smaller clip nuts to be to bolt our inner fender to, so you make sure we have them on there. Like that. Now let's go ahead and get our inner fender put together so we can stick it on. Now we need to go ahead and install our plate on the back here that I painted red. Okay, we'll use a bolt, a washer here on the back side. I reckon you could put the washers on front or back. I want to put them on the back because I don't want them showing on the front. I think it'd look bad. Now we have the nice RC Rough Country logo showing through. That looks really nice. Okay, we can use some of our clip nuts right on here. 2 of our small clip nuts. Then we're going to use 2 bolts and 2 washers here to bolt these 2 pieces together. Just like so. And we're not going to tighten these up until after we get this thing installed and everything in place. Then it'll give us some free play to line all the holes up. So we'll just run them in with our fingers, and that'll be good enough for right now. Okay, now we have 8 of our small Allen bolts, and I got the washers to go ahead and put on them. So when I set this in there, I can just bolt it up. So I'll just slide this unit in here, and probably the easiest way is to go ahead and get one bolt started, like this front one right up here, just to kind of hold it in place. I'll go along here and stick the other bolts in. There should be 8 of them across here. And yes, that's my neighbor shooting a gun. Probably getting ready for deer season, I would say. Alright, now we got our 8 bolts in. We'll go ahead and tighten them up. Now we can go ahead and tighten up these 2 where the plates meet together. Alright, right here on the front you can see we'll need to drill through this bracket with a 5/16 bit, and we'll put one of the Allen bolts and washer and a nut on the back side. Alright, now I'm going to take a little bit of black spray paint and paint this hole where I drilled to protect against rust. And you can take your rag and wipe off any excess. Then we're going to take our Allen bolt and put it in here and put the nut on the back side. Okay, front fender and inner fender installed. Looks really nice. You can see the RC logo in red. Looks good, stands out. I've done that because I have some red up here on this Wrangler. We have a few red accents on the Jeep, and so I've done that in red. So now we'll get started on the rear. Alright, removing the rear fender is a little different than the front. It's not actually any harder. And instead of bolts, we just have some plastic clips, and I use a pair of side cutters. This pair of side cutters actually happens to have a hole in it, which works pretty good to go over the clip and pry them out. There should be about 6 clips under here to remove, so I'll pop them all out. I'll show you how you pop the first one out, and I'll go around and take them all out. Then we can just pull this fender off pretty much like we did the front one. You see this clip right here. You can get under it, and you can just kind of, like so, pull them out like that. And then we'll go on, pull the rest of them out. And they're actually located. Here's one on the front, the one I just removed. Then there's one behind it, and there's one right here. And then we have up above, we have one here. One right there. Okay, with the clips removed, we should be able to just pull this fender off pretty much like we did the front one. Just grab a hold of it nice and snug. Just like that. And it's out of there. Okay, now there's going to be a few clips we want to remove that held the factory fender on. Take these off around here. 2 more right there. Okay, we'll go ahead and wipe off any excess dirt around here before we install the new one. Okay, this kit comes with a tool here and some nuts that will actually insert. The way you do this, back gets out all the way. This one had a couple washers on it, but they cracked immediately when I tried them, so it actually works without them just fine. So we're going to install these. We got 4 of them. We're going to install them in this location here, here, and then we're going to install one here and one here. These are actually fairly easy to install. You put this on here, and then you'll just hold this with a 17mm wrench, take a 14mm and tighten this down, and it will compress this in these holes to make them where they'll stay in. So kind of like we'll put one right in here. We'll hold it with our 17, and then we'll take our 14 and just hold. When we hold it in, we'll crank this down and then back it off. Once you back it off a little bit, see, we'll just thread this whole thing out of here. And just like that, we have one installed. We'll just install the other 3. Just like that. So you can see this hole right here. We'll need to trim a little bit off because our little clip nut will not go all the way up on there. So if we take something and cut just the edge of this off, it'll go on there just fine. Okay, now it says on the instructions to drill these out to 1/2 inch, these 3 holes here. I'm going to try 3/8, see if that works first. If it don't, then I'll do 1/2 inch, but 1/2 inch seems like a little big. I'm not sure if it's a misprint or what, but I'll try 3/8 and see how that works. And then we got our 3 clip nuts on there, and I believe that the 3/8 is going to be the right size for them holes. So now we can go ahead and install our inner fender, then our fender. Alright, so we have the one laid out here for the driver's side rear. We need to take our clip nuts, slide them on here. We're going to be using 6 of them on here. Alright, I have my 6 clip nuts on here. Now I'm going to take these using a washer and the bolt to match and bolt these on. There'll be 6 of those also, of course. Alright, I got all them bolts on. Alright, now we have some of this rubber trim that goes around it here, and I believe this will help with, it goes all along the top side, and I believe it will help with vibration, noises and rubbing this thing would do. So we just peel out this red inner part, slide it down over the groove right over the top, and go all the way around this. Alright, as you can see, I added a little red paint here to do my accent of the rough country, the background of the rough country lettering, like I did the front. It's not like you have to be too neat because it's all going to be covered anyway. So now we'll go ahead and set our inner fender inside here and bolt it to those 3 clips. Alright, now I have all my bolts in and tight. We have one hole back here that we'll need to drill and put a bolt with a nut on the back side. Okay, this is the rear at the bottom, the very bottom of the rear inner fender, and we will need to push this in. We'll drill a 1/4 inch hole with a 1/4 inch bit back here, and then we'll put a bolt with a washer and a lock nut provided to go in the back, and that will hold this one in place. Okay, just like the other places where we drilled, we will want to add some little bit of spray paint in there just to help keep the hole from rusting. Alright, we are down to the last step, which is bolting on our rear fender, and then our installation of the rough country fender flares and inner fenders will be complete. So let's go ahead and get started. On these 4 bolts here, or these nuts that we compressed in here, we'll be using the small bolts with a washer for each one of those. We'll put those on first, then we'll put the other bolts in. Okay, the top middle 2, you'll use your big bolts with the washer and the nut that goes behind it. Okay, now all we need to do is go through and tighten them up. Alright, now we have finished up the rear, so it looks real nice. You can see where I've installed all the bolts up underneath the bottom right there that I was talking about. There's the 2 big ones there, and there's 2 small ones over here, and you have the 2 smaller ones over here. And as I did on the front, you can see the red background behind the big crunchy. I think it looks good. So we're nice and protected with super good quality, extra strong powder coated fender flares and inner fenders. Alright guys, that's it for the install of the rough country front and rear fender flares and front and rear inner fenders. Like I said, this is the new powder coating, so it's extra strong, should last a lot longer. And these fender flares also have been reduced in price, so that's a great deal. I'm going to put a link to Rough Country below. You can check them out. They have everything. They have these tires and wheels, everything pretty much for a Jeep, for 4-wheel drive trucks, suspension lifts, which I'd like to add a 2.5 spring and shock lift to this, and then I can get some 35-inch tires on this thing and make it look good. So thank you all for watching Woodzman Adventures. Please subscribe, click the thumbs up on this video, as all my videos, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Right on.